what a timeline we live in, gentlemen. Grok versus Faker. Probably will still do better than Chovy.
I disagree with T1 Team of the Year.
And my poor friend had no idea who DarkZero were. They had no clue. He came to me and he sat down. He was... Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the loading screen. My name is Soren, and we have an action-packed, or I guess not an action-packed, but a very jam-packed bit of news for you today. I will say, just off rip, we have to talk about it, the elephant in the room. Diatonic is no longer going to be presenting with us. He has other opportunities. He's going off to do his own thing, so massive thanks to him for all the work he's done with us, and of course, wish him the best. But we do have a new face. So first of all, gentlemen, how are we doing? Zero, we'll start with you as the new face on the board.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here. Just a little bit about me, like Soren said, Zero fights, primarily Valorant caster, do some tier 3 stuff here and there, some game changer stuff, looking to move up a little bit and dip my toes in some other stuff, Rocket League, Fortnite, Clash Royale, you know, get a little spicy there. But I'm excited to be here today. We got a lot of good news to go over and a lot of exciting news as well. I think there's some big topics to come through, especially to close out the year. The Game Awards coming up as well. We'll review that. So I'm pretty excited to get into today's news.
Yeah, a lot of really good stuff going on here. Again, welcome to Zero, and thank you to Daya for his contributions for the first leg of the loading screen's lifespan. It was great having him around, but big things coming up for him, so keep an eye on his channels. He's hopefully moving up real soon. I'm really excited for him.
He's making money moves over.
He's making big money moves. We love that guy. But yeah, we got some big stuff to cover today, and I'll kick it off with possibly the biggest headline of the week. NRG has been bought out by DarkZero of all teams. Leadership transition got announced, all that jazz. DarkZero has acquired the esports assets of NRG for an undisclosed fee, marking a major ownership and operational shift for the North American organization and the North American scene as a whole, really. DZ's CEO Don Kim will take over as CEO of NRG, while NRG's founder Andy Miller will remain involved as an advisor to help guide the transition. All of the NRG esports teams will continue competing under the NRG brand, with current rosters staying intact until the majority of staff retained. DarkZero's existing teams will move under the NRG banner, including its Rainbow Six Siege roster, allowing NRG to enter the Rainbow Six ecosystem for the first time. Under the new structure, NRG plans to maintain its presence in top-tier esports while expanding into new titles and increasing its focus on brand growth and marketing. And this is kind of wild. We've had a couple of mergers in recent years. Obviously, NV Optic comes to mind, Beast Coast M80 comes to mind. But, I mean, this is the first time, I would argue, since NV Optic that it's been like two of the biggest organizations in North America. Maybe DarkZero, like, not on everyone's radar as much as NRG, but I mean, the fact that they've been bought out by DarkZero, I think a lot of people are going to be a little bit surprised by that. And I mean, yeah, this is a monumental shift.
Yeah, and I think I can actually think of one that's a little bit more recent, but it was a very different circumstance. I know a couple years ago, back in 2020, can you guess why maybe the merger happened? But Giant and Excel, two teams that were in the LCK, two pretty big organizations over in EMEA, they did merge. That's what the org Giant X is now. So if you ever watch the LCK, or not LCK, excuse me.
VCG?
Oh, I am blanking.
LEC?
LEC, thank you. That's the abbreviation. That's the combination of letters. So if you ever see that roster, that team over in the LEC, that is what that team is. It is previous Excel, previous Giant. They just merged.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was purely it happened over the summer of 2020. There were two smaller but still big orgs, if that makes sense. Again, not like an Optic and Envy situation. But yeah, I think there's one a little bit more recent, but it is absolutely big news. I was seeing reports that this kind of took everyone by shock. But if you know a little bit about DarkZero, that shouldn't be too wild. Apparently, the owner of DarkZero has got that Texas oil money, some billions with
Yeah.
a B. So they definitely did have the money. I do have a fun story before I said use Zero for your thoughts, but I have a bunch of friends in the scene. Of course, one of my best friends used to be a coach, and a couple months ago, DarkZero reached out, or someone from DarkZero reached out to him to inquire if he'd be interested in coming back and being a coach again. I'm not going to name any names or anything, but he inquired, and my poor friend had no idea who DarkZero were. They had no clue. He came to me and he sat down. He was like, I just got offered to be a coach again. And I was like, oh, did you even consider it? And he's like, no, I'm not interested. I'm making way more money now, so I'm not really interested. I was like, what org was it? And he was like, I don't Zero? Something about Zero? And I was like, do you DarkZero? Like Dark? He was like, yeah, that's it. I sent the article. The moment I saw it, I was like, my man, what a timeline we're living in. You chose left, and right would have had you go down a very different life. But yeah, that's just a very funny story. Yeah, he does not work for, I guess, NRG now, because DarkZero is no more. But yeah, big brand. That is a big time merger. That makes NRG, who's already one of the biggest esports orgs in the game, even bigger, and they get them into so many more titles. This is very clearly, in my mind, a means to keep up with like the likes of Sentinels, 100 Thieves, Fnatic, who is technically also up for sale. I think maybe I'm not sure. All I saw was a meme of Boaster willing to buy Fnatic for £1,000, which might be a couple million off, but it's fine.
Yeah, just buy just buy a few. Just buy a few.
Just a small amount. It's negligible.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got it. Just Yinsu and him just come together. They pull their pocketbooks together. They'll be able to come in.
They'll sell some Pokemon cards.
All. Yeah, sell those Pokemon cards. I think it's super interesting as well to think about the prospect of DarkZero coming in. A lot of people, like you said, might not know who they are, and so it might be a surprise, especially since NRG is known as one of those orgs that pays the highest salaries. Especially, I know specifically in Valorant, they pay the highest salaries in all of North America and all of the Americas League. And I know that continues throughout. I mean, they just won champions in for VCT as well. So it might seem a bit strange to some outsiders looking in, but I think just trying to build up that NRG brand. I mean, it's been a staple brand for the last 20-ish, 25 years in the esports scene, all the way back to Call of Duty, Halo. So it's a little bit shocking, I would say, for some, but I'm not surprised, especially some people just wanting to get out. And I think looking forward with DarkZero coming in, Don Kim being that new CEO, there might be questions about some of those transfers. I know like the Optic Envy stuff in years past had some questions around it, but I think especially with Andy Miller sticking around as that advisor, it should be a smooth transition, and I don't think anyone has anything to worry about moving forward.
Well, I can take us into the next point. A little bit of a left turn here, going from major esports org news to major esports news in general. Tetris is targeting Olympic esports status after a landmark Dubai event. Tetris has set a long-term goal of becoming an Olympic esport following the 2025 Red Bull Tetris World Final in Dubai, one of the largest competitive events in the game's history. The event took place at the Dubai Frame, where players competed using the landmark as a visual playing field, highlighting Tetris's push towards large-scale spectator-focused competitions. The Tetris company CEO Maya Rogers said Olympic inclusion is a key ambition within the next 1 to 3 years, citing the game's family-friendly appeal and wide accessibility. Founder Hank Rogers explained that Tetris must adapt its competitive format to be easier for viewers to follow, with plans to add replays, clearer visuals, and possible AI analysis. While challenges remain, including alignment with Olympic esports standards, players and organizers believe Tetris could fit the Olympic model if developed carefully and thoroughly. I think it's pretty cool. I know Tetris does go kind of crazy. I've watched a lot of videos and I get shorts and stuff all the time of some of the smaller esports and all that. And I know Tetris does. It's nowhere near as big of an audience, but it's a niche audience, but it's a diehard audience, and some of those people are absolutely cracked. Like they play the original version of Tetris to the point where the game breaks. Like the game doesn't have enough code to keep going past the points that they got. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Tetris is one of those games that like you don't think of as a competitive game initially, and then you like hear anything about it and you're like, whoa, wait a minute. This is cool. I think that Tetris also as like an Olympic esport specifically makes a lot of sense because a lot of games that, you know, had that sort of consideration, excuse me, would kind of be shooed away because, you know, they look down on like the games where you're shooting other people with guns, right? So there's going to be no Counter-Strike, there's probably going to be no Valorant, no Rainbow, Overwatch. Any of the big FPS games, probably not going to be an Olympic kind of sport, but something like Tetris, something like Rocket League, games like that work like wonders for this kind of audience in particular. So I think that it absolutely would make sense as an Olympic esport, and I am very hopeful to see where that goes in the future.
Yeah, it should be exciting. I definitely think as well with Tetris, it's one of the oldest games to, I mean, even have competitions going back. And with the Esports Olympics and the committee that is coming alongside it, I think within the esports community, there's been a lot of backlash because of, like you said, the issues of not wanting to have more like violent tendencies in these games and be presented to the public, which I guess I understand, but I think the culture of esports is there. But I think alongside Tetris, it brings a lot of eyes from the just the wider base of people. Like everyone knows what Tetris is, even if you're not a gamer. It's synonymous. I mean, it has the likes of like Pokemon and Mario, like that popularity level where everyone knows where it is. So if it's a game that comes up, it definitely would be one that can just grab a lot of eyes, I think, to maybe kick off the esports Olympics. But I am very interested to see if they continue with the founders' recommendations, because if you're adjusting the current format, that might upset the current competitors, and especially with AI analysis and stuff like that. I know there's been backlash about that and the removal of an analysis desk and stuff like that. So I'm a little bit questioning that still, but we'll have to see how that goes as that continues to develop. And, you know, still not fully set in stone yet, but we'll have to see moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the CEO said, it's a 1 to 3 year goal. So definitely not going to see it in a couple months, but they hope to see it in the next couple years. But Zero, I believe we have some even more news, some crazy news coming out of Valorant. Yeah. Again, by the way, another week of not being able to get out of the riot sphere. We're always dragged back.
We can't escape
back
Riot
every
Games.
time.
We can't escape Riot Games. It's not possible, man.
They have the master hand over us, don't they?
One week it's hey, 2XKO came out. Another week it's hey, we gotta talk about Valorant again. Another week it's League of Legends again. I mean, we'll get to League later. I've accepted my fate. We're just a Riot show now.
I mean, practically at this point. I mean, esports is a Riot show, isn't it? I mean, you got a few games here and there, but they really be doing it all. But here is a big news. Valorant player banned. Former player for Global Esports has been suspended for match fixing rule breach. Riot Games reveals ends as well. Riot issued a 12-month suspension to Valorant player Joseph Ban Sungmin for breaching rules related to match fixing and match manipulation. The ruling follows a 4-month investigation they had and bars banned from all Riot Games sanctioned events, including the VCT, until the end of 2026. The case relates to a VCT specific match between Global Esports and Team Secret in July 2025, where Ban was linked to discussions about match manipulation. Ban will be required to complete a mandatory integrity and ethics training before returning to competition, with further penalties possible if he fails to comply. And then with that as well, I think going alongside that, it's a bit of a sad day to see. I know there hasn't been a lot of match fixing allegations and stuff going around. There was the tier 2 stuff in North America, but here has been a bit more concrete evidence. And while the investigation showed that there wasn't any concrete evidence within the game, there was evidence brought up that Ban was at least in conversations willing to go about this. And so he has been offered this ban. A bit tragic, to be honest. I think Ban was one of the better flex players from North America, especially going over to Pacific. He had a long tenure. He played on Knights way back in the day when Pittsburgh Knights was still a thing in tier 2, and then he went over to T1, had an okay performance, and then really kind of found his footing on Talon. They just barely missed out back in Champs 2024, and then had a less than ideal year on Global Esports, you can say. So maybe that got to him, unfortunately, but we won't be seeing him for a little bit. And hopefully he can come back and be reformed and at least have a bit of a resurgence, because it would be tragic for his career to end in such a tumultuous way.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. And I mean, it's like you say, he had a pretty promising career, I think, playing in particular in that season with Talon. They did get bounced at Champs pretty quickly. They lost 2-0 to both Leviathan and Vitality, but I mean, it's Leviathan and Vitality. What are you gonna do? Actually, those guys were insane.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for me is that right now, with how much stuff there is going on for Riot, I mean, you guys have mentioned Talon no longer a VCT team. So that Team Secret also being removed. There is just so Koi also getting dropped. There is so much. I hesitate to call it litigation, because it's obviously not actual legal in a court of law, but there's so many eyes right now on the teams because of the contracts coming up. Even if he serves out his suspension, it's going to be coming up right around the same time when all these teams are going to be renewing their contracts with Riot. And I worry that no one's going to want to have the player that got hit with a suspected match fixing scandal on his record. No one, I feel like in my head, if you're a VCT team, it's just not worth the risk when you're going and sitting down across the table from Riot going, yeah, no, we're a good org. I know we have someone who is, suspected of match fixing, but don't worry, we're a good org. There's no problems with us. We're not a brand risk. So he's an incredibly good player. He has a storied history. He has a very good career. I just hesitate that this is coming at maybe the worst physical time for him possible.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with as well the rising amount of talent in the tier 2 scene. I think it's going to be a hard time for him to come back in, especially in Pacific, where the region just continues to look more and more stacked as the year goes on. I mean, they won 2 of the 3 events last year.
Crazy.
And it just continues to look more competitive over there. So unfortunate circumstance coming out from Global Esports, but it's not all the Riot news. We still got to shill a little bit over towards the VCT people, but Riot as well revealed the VALORANT Game Changers 2026 roadmap, where we'll be featuring a total prize pool of $150,000 and running from February to September. The season will include a kickoff event, 2 main stage events, and 5 Radiant Academy competitions. And then Game Changers North America kickoff begins in February with open qualifiers up to 32 teams. And then it'll be followed by a double elimination main event with a $10,000 prize pool. Stage 1 and Stage 2 will feature open qualifiers again, a Swiss stage with 16 teams, and then a double elimination main event with 65 grand on the line per stage and championship circuit points awarded at the end. So pretty similar format to how last year functioned. Not much changing for the North American scene. I know over in EMEA there was the introduction of these cash cups. Nothing of the like will be happening over in North America. So very interested to see how this continues to kind of work through as we get into 2026, and if there's going to be any real change up in the format, because I don't know, it doesn't feel stale, but it definitely feels a little interesting.
I'm a little confused by that description. Is there still only going to be one international LAN per year for Game Changers?
Yep. It's just
Why?
the Game Changers
Why?
championships at the end of the year.
I don't understand this, man. Like, okay, a little side tangent, but I think that it doesn't make any sense for there to just be the one LAN for Game Changers. I think there needs to be like a Masters equivalent at least once per year. Like,
Yeah.
obviously VCT proper has 2 Masters and Champs the last few years. I think that there needs to at least be 1 Masters and Champs for Game Changers. It doesn't make any sense to me that the only time that Game Changers players gets to play on the international stage is Champions once every year. It just let them play on LAN internationally more often, right? Like it can't be that difficult to find one more venue that's willing to host a Masters level event. It just
I think
can't.
the big thing as well is even the Game Changers championships are just being held in the Riot Games
Tiny
studios
venues.
around the place. I mean, last year it was in Berlin. This time, or not last time. Last time it was in Sao Paulo. Excuse me. This time, I believe it
It was
was
in
in
Seoul.
Seoul. So a lot of those are to be able to cut costs. But like you said, I mean, I think there's been demand for more events, and there's been obvious demand for the bigger stadiums, more seating, right? And even if they're not doing a Masters equivalent event, even something where it's like going to like a smaller city like Chicago or Dallas or somewhere of those likes to do just a national level event for the main event, or have
Mm-hmm.
like Brazil and South America and like all the Americas regions come together, something a bit more. Because like you said, I think there's definitely the want and the need for it. And so it's a bit sad to just see these players only get to see the stage one time a year.
And the thing that always hurts me is, like you said, Zero, the fact that the Champions event is always held at such a small venue. It's always in one of these Riot
Mm-hmm.
Games studios. It was, I remember them announcing that for the first year, and everyone pretty much went, wow, that is a tiny venue. There is so many
Yeah.
people that would be willing to get tickets and go to this event, but they're not going to have a chance because you're holding it in such a venue. And then I
Mm-hmm.
think the next year it was slightly bigger, but that's just because their studio was a little bit bigger. And then it's like the same size for this past year. At no point have they even really dipped their foot into the idea of maybe, oh, maybe we'll just hold it at a smaller non-Riot venue that could at least have maybe a couple thousand instead of a couple hundred, if that.
Mm-hmm.
It really is astounding to me, especially because Game Changers, it's not like it's a dying brand. It's growing.
No.
It's becoming more and more popular. And a lot of that is
Mm-hmm.
because players are promoting it. I know a lot of casters and a lot of personalities in the scene have come out and been like, Game Changers is like some of the best place to watch Valorant. The games are
It's
so
sick.
entertaining. The quality of games is so good. And it just seems like Riot is hearing that and going, great. We're gonna keep the venue small. We're not gonna take advantage of it or use the opportunity to continue to grow that hype. It just makes no sense to me logistically. I don't know why Riot insists on keeping it to one LAN event a year and then making it so that one LAN event is practically not a LAN event, because once you get rid of, like, once you include friends and family, that's a lot of tickets that are gone
Even
from the
that
venue
though,
immediately.
there's been consistent issues in years past. I know players like Mel over on Shopify Rebellion.
Yeah.
I believe that G2 was having issues as well, even getting tickets for their family members, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it was that sold out to where they couldn't even have their family come and watch one year. And so stuff like that is really tragic to see as well, because like you said, once you fill out friends and family, I mean, that's a large majority of the people. And so
Yeah.
hopefully there can be a bit more of a change, maybe a mid-year adjustment or something in the future to look out for.
Mm-hmm.
But still exciting news regardless. I think it should be uh, good to look forward to, because I think, I mean, the competition has just been getting bigger and bigger, and I think this Game Changers Championships was, in my opinion, the most entertaining. I mean, the run that Team Liquid Brazil had was just
It was
insane.
a really good final.
Yeah, and so I'm really excited to see how the scene continues to grow throughout this next year.
Well, Ged, I really hate to break the bad news to you, but we're not leaving the Riot Sphere yet. We're not done. The league scene has been done for months. They don't have a big Game Changers circuit. It's just been Worlds. We're over a month past the ending of Worlds, and we still have news. And very specifically, we still have T1 news. Obviously, we're, crowned the champions of.
We're never not gonna have
Legends.
T1 news.
We're never not gonna have T1 news. You're right. But obviously, crowned champions of League of Legends back on like the 9th of November, sometime around there. And very soon after, they lost Gumayushi. So they were already in the news for the last couple of weeks. But now, due to some back and forths online, they are back in the headlines. Faker confident T1 can beat AI in a proposed exhibition match, plus the LCK Award 2025 winners. All right, T1 mid laner Faker said he believes his team could beat an artificial intelligence opponent in a potential exhibition match proposed by Elon Musk. What a timeline we live in, gentlemen. Grok versus Faker probably will still do better than Chovy. But
Why are we throwing shots at Chovy?
Just out of left field, he just catches strays. He just catches strays.
I've you know
MSI champion, by the way. LCK champion, by the way.
Not a world champion.
Oh my god!
Never even made it past semis. I've been getting so many.
Someone's a D1 hater over here.
I am. I'm firmly against the Church of Trophy. No, have you know the audio on TikTok where it's like legendary, he's legendary, he's not legendary. I'm seeing so many edits of people just calling Chovy out. I've been getting like 2 a day for the last week. Sorry, it's on the brain. Keep it going. Speaking in Seoul on December 18th, Faker welcomed interest from major technology companies, but said human players still have the advantage in the short term. The comments followed Musk's suggestion of a 2026 match between XAI's upcoming Grok 5 model and T1, which the organization acknowledged publicly. Faker noted that while AI may eventually surpass humans in League of Legends, the game's complexity makes it a harder challenge than chess or Go. The press conference also followed Faker's 4-year contract extension with T1, keeping him with the team until 2029, as his motivation to compete remains strong. Insane news. I can't believe we're in a timeline where that's going to be occurring.
I mean, I have a lot of words for this one, and they're a lot harsher than words that I normally speak on this show. So, Zero, why don't you go first? Why don't you give your thoughts here, and then I'll speak.
Okay. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna give you a buck. Why? That's all I'm wondering. Like, what's the point of it?
Anyway, Faker's contract getting extended is cool. I didn't think he needed it because he's a co-owner of T1 as an organization, but I mean, we're extending it for a few more years. Hopefully he wins Worlds again, but I don't know if it's going to be 4 in a row. 4 in a row would be unbelievable, but I don't think it's going to happen. We'll see.
That would be insane.
We'll see. It would be absurd.
Fun fact, he also had his contract extended by 3 years last year, and everyone went, that's crazy for someone approaching 30. What are you doing? Time tells a different story. But yeah, I do agree. I think it's just kind of stupid. I know there's a lot of arguments about AI. I'm not as involved into the AI arguments or as deeply cut by them. But I do find the entire situation to be, frankly, kind of just stupid.
Yeah.
I think why. I think the way you put it, Zero, is the best way. Like, why? Why are we doing it? There's no reason. Like, the only thing I can see is that it will make people look at League of Legends, but League of Legends is already the biggest esport in the world.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point? Well, what's the point? You pull up League of Legends and most people know the game. If you're not playing it right now, you're probably not going to play it. Like, let's be real.
Right.
But to kind of finish up this section and round out our last major headline before we get into the miscellaneous section, as well as a bit of a discussion about the game awards. The league awards for 2025 did happen. They highlighted the achievements across professional play, broadcasting, content creation, and community contributions with a focus on documenting talent within the League of Legends ecosystem. T1 won the team of the year. Wild. And moment of the year for completing their three-peat at Worlds 2025, to absolutely no one's surprise.
Yeah.
While Jung Chovi Jiun of Genji was named Player of the Year, that makes my sentiment age like milk, but that's fine. Other player awards include LPL Player of the Year, Lee Tarzan Songyong. Sorry if I butcher these names. LCK Player of the Year, Guak BDD Bosung. LCP Player of the Year, Chang Doggo Han. LTA Player of the Year, Casper Inspired Solma. And LEC Player of the Year, Rasmus Caps Winter. Creators and content were recognized with Esports Creator of the Year, Christian IW Dominate Rivera. Community Creator of the Year, Simon The Bows Hausberg. I'm so good at saying names. Hoverberg, thank you. And Content Piece of the Year,
Alois NL.
Alois NL. Put the word on screen if you don't mind. I'm butchering these names. I'm so sorry.
Dude, he's so tired right now.
I'm so tired. It's 11 p.m. For Alois NL for Corporate Mundo's Push. Fan art piece of the year went to Papa UFR. Papa UFR? Yes. Broadcast Style of the Year. I know these ones. Was awarded to Moritz Chronicler Jan Musen. While Rookie of the Year went to Sai Hongqiu Ming Hong. And Play of the Year was awarded to Ryu Karya Minsuk for a standout Worlds 2025 quarterfinals play. Bar my absolute butchering of everyone's names in that list, I think all of them make total sense. I mean, obviously T1 putting up some incredible stuff and just storylines. Chovy did have the best statistical year. He won pretty much everything but Worlds. And Carrier having a lot of play. Yes,
Teacher.
What am I?
I disagree. I disagree with T1 Team of the Year. This is actually a conversation I've been having a lot in Overwatch as well recently. Listen. Here's the thing, right? I had this conversation with a buddy of mine regarding Overwatch as well recently, because there's a community awards thing that is happening via OWTV, one of the publications surrounding Overwatch esports, and one of their categories is Team of the Year as well. In that form, I was going through that with a friend of mine, and he voted for Twisted Minds, the team that just won Worlds. I do not agree with that sentiment in the slightest, because, I mean, and this is a great comparison to T1 as well, because obviously T1, they've struggled throughout the year. They made it to MSI, they got to the finals of MSI, but domestically speaking, they were not the best team in Korea, not even close. Like, Gen G was more consistent all year. They won MSI. They won every other major tournament in the calendar year. I think that in terms of the consistency of Gen G, I think they were absolutely the team of the year. I don't think that them falling short in the semifinals of Worlds, a place where it is very easy to fall short, should disqualify you from being team of the year. I don't think that team of the year should just automatically go to the team that won Worlds, because I mean, yeah, you won Worlds, but that's one of the tournaments that happened this year, even if it is the most important one.
I have one counterpoint to that, and it's the sentiment that it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And when people look back, it's not just the fact that T1 won Worlds, it's the three-peat. When we go 5 years in the future, Ged, I want you to look me in the eyes. When people talk about the 2025 season, are you going to look me in the eyes and tell me about how everyone's going to be talking about how Gen G almost completed the Golden Road? Or are they going to be saying it's because T1 got the three-peat? It's the three-peat.
That's fair, but I think I understand where it gets coming from, though. I think especially with I mean, it depends how you're looking at what team of the year means, right? Especially with like If you're looking at consistency throughout the whole year, I think that's a super fair argument, especially with that. But if you're talking about like memorableness and like overall impact, and trying to like look into like the future and be like, okay, what's going to look best for the history books or something like that. I mean, I think it's T1 definitely, and I think both are fair arguments. I can see teams going either way because I think even like in other esports, there's this argument all the time, right? I mean, like you said, in Overwatch, in Valorant as well, with like NRG being pretty crappy most of the year. Like it happens all over the place, so I think it's a very fair argument, and it does kind of suck where it's just like, oh, it's just automatically given, but three-peat is absolutely insanity. Yeah, I mean, it's just so sick to see, and I think that in and of itself is a fair enough reason to put it over.
Yeah, I don't want to make it sound like I'm denying that. I absolutely am huge. I'm a huge T1 fan. This has been established. They're my favorite organization. They're my favorite. They're my favorite.
Very known T1 hater over here again.
T1 is my favorite team. I literally was crying during the recording talking about how emotional I got over T1 being able to lift a third world's trophy in a row. But like, I just don't agree that translates into immediately just them being the team of 2025 League of Legends. Because frankly, Gen G was better throughout all year except for one tournament. And now we go into our miscellaneous headlines at the end of every episode. G2 Esports, they have disbanded G2 Hell, ending its Women's League of Legends project after just 3 years of competition. The announcement was made on December 19th, just 2 weeks after the team won the Nova Series Prelude Regional Tournament. G2 Hell was a dominant force in the European women's scene, winning multiple titles across events such as Storm Takeover, Coupe des Etoiles, and Nova Series. Mouse Esports has shuttered its Valorant program, stating that the current VCT format does not align with their ambition as a team, and they do not see a place for them in the current ecosystem. Finally, from me, 1047 Games has relaunched Splitgate 2 as Arena Reloaded. Splitgate Arena Reloaded has returned after Splitgate 2's extremely underwhelming launch with extremely major gameplay revisions that were needed, by the way. Splitgate 2 was bad. And, I mean, how do you mess up Splitgate? How do you mess up Splitgate? They do seem to have fixed a lot of the issues I had with Splitgate 2's initial release, but it might be a little bit too late at this point.
Unfortunately, so it might just be, but a little bit brighter news, I would say. Fortnite announces the $2.5 million Reload Elite Series for 2026. Epic Games will host the $2.5 million Reload Series in 2026, concluding at the Esports World Cup in Riyadh. The series focuses on Fortnite's Reload game mode, which is a 40-player battle royale version with respawning teammates. That's essentially is a more condensed version, right? A smaller map, rotating maps as well. Personally, I'm very excited for this. Not so much the EWC part of it, but just the Reload competition coming through, because I think it's a great format that's throughout 2025, the Reload game mode only has been growing in popularity, and I think a lot of players are looking for a bit faster paced of a esports viewing experience and just competitive experience for the players. So I'm really excited to see how this goes and to see what the potential can be, because I think it could be a super huge prospect. Other than that, though, Theorycraft Games announces that its MOBA Battle Royale Supervive, unfortunately, will be sunsetting on February 26, 2026, due to declining player engagements and high maintenance cost. Very unfortunate to see a game go down like that, especially one that had as much hype as Supervive did whenever it was coming out. And then as well, Riot Games announces that VCT will distribute more than $100 million to partner teams in 2025 through its in-game esports digital goods, and over $86 million of this revenue came directly from those esports digital item sales, nearly doubling last year's $44.3 million, which is just insane to think about the amount of money coming in through it. Great to see that they've been able to monetize this and create a sustainable way to generate revenue for these teams that are involving in their esports.
I gotta say, I think Valorant is one of, if not the only successful franchising model we've really seen so far in
Partnership.
esports. I guess okay. Let's be real here. Let's be real here. Fancy words, but it's at least one of the best models we've seen yet. At least most successful in terms of team buy-in and the esport being pretty successful. CARE, a Japanese esports association for seniors, held a Tekken 8 tournament where a 92-year-old Hisako Saikai, again, I'm terrible with names. I'm so sorry. Claimed first place. The event featured 8 participants aged 65 to 95 and was live streamed with plans to expand senior esports competitions nationwide. What an incredible story. Now we got 2 more. These are off script. These are just off the dome. So I apologize if they get a little ranty. But I actually didn't even mention this to you two. I don't know if you guys saw it. Marvel Rivals, they have not announced their official roadmap, but they announced that it is coming out in the very near future, and one of the developers responded to local esports correspondent Vaudable saying that it will be out in 2025. So we are probably mere days away. And notably, there is 1 game left that EWC announced they were expanding into a bunch of games. There's 1 game that they have not announced yet. I know there's a lot of people speculating that since Marvel Rivals is one of the only esports to not have a big announcement yet, that there's a good chance that they are also going to be doing EWC next year. So not confirmed, but that is the talk of the town right now in the Marvel Rivals scene. And then to kind of close out the miscellaneous, we have a frankly very strange story. If you watched our previous episode, me and Gad, we did a whole breakdown of the CDL season upcoming. It's now done its first week, and we talked about legend, notable legend of the Halo scene coming into Surge. Very high ceiling, possibly a pretty high floor or low floor, depends on how he adapts. He's off the team.
Yeah, it's gone.
Legend has officially been benched after just 1 week of competition, where they went 0-9, did not pick up a single map, 0-3 for the first 3 games. There is no confirmation yet, as far as we can tell, on who they are going to be picking up to replace. Supposedly, he's going to be going on loan to Stallions, which is Zuma's organization that competes on Challengers. And there's talks about TJ Halley or Tej being picked up to the Surge roster, which I feel like is very fair. TJ is a very well-respected name in the scene. Very well known. And in fact, this is not even the first time. When the Falcons were absolutely awful last season. And the very end for the final tournament, they picked up Tej. It just seems like when teams need kind of a solid player to just fill the gap, to at least do a job or fill a hole for a little bit of time, TJ Halley is that well-respected name that people tend to get. So that's the news out of the CDL. It's just very strange across the board, seeing such a big name get dropped just a week out, making themselves look like old LA Thieves. Roster changes galore.
It's kind of rough because, I mean, you and I were talking about this like in the wake of the invitational tournament that we talked about in our little mini episode. But Legend obviously coming over off of a 2nd place in the Halo World Championship Finals. Insane player in that game, but I guess something just doesn't click in the transition to Black Ops 7 for him, and frankly, I want to continue to see him compete in Call of Duty, because at this point Halo is a very big question mark in terms of its competitive future. So it would be a shame to see him leave entirely, and if he wants to continue in Call of Duty, I am very excited to see that happen. If it has to be on a Challengers team for a little while, then absolutely let him have that time to develop as a player in this different esports. I don't think it was a bad call to give him a shot on Surge, because frankly, Surge, after we talked about how, like, after you lose your roster last year that you played extremely effective Moneyball with, you need to take risks. You need to find a new player, a new star that can potentially carry your team to those levels that you had before. And I think Legend was absolutely a good call. I think if that had paid off, it would have been amazing. And technically, he is still their substitute. He is only being loaned to Stallions. But, I mean, we'll see what the future holds for them. And frankly, I don't love the prospects for Surge right now, but, I mean, maybe something turns around.
One of the biggest headlines of like the last week and a half, of course, was the Game Awards.
They just need to let me run the Game Awards next year, man.
The other games just be better. Like, just be better.
Do we want to talk AI real quick? Because let's be real, even the games that say they're not using it, they're probably using it.